Zoom and boom, everyone! It is June 7th, 2019. It's a little bit after 12 noon on the East Coast, and it is episode 34 of According to Spiky Dash. Spiky Dash here with you. Loaded show today. Lot to talk about as we kick off the month of June. I know that there's been a lot going on. First off, again, I have to start with a little bit of housekeeping, as always. I apologize that Appalachian and I were not able to blind reaction for episodes 9 and 10. We were wanting to do it on a Sunday. Did not work out. YouTube had its issue that day, or actually it was more of a Google problem with the congestion on the East Coast, and we got the oops message. So we were not able to do that, unfortunately. So apologies on that. We're really looking forward to that because those two episodes, we had some moments, let's just say, during those episodes that I wish you guys could have seen. But I will share my thoughts on those episodes. That's just one of many things I'm talking about in this episode. I mean, like the show does, Pony Sports Life, we got it all covered in this episode. As we kick off the month of June. Well, we're a week into the month of June. This is going to be a busy month for me. I got a lot going on. As you guys probably know, follow me on Twitter. I had a busy day yesterday. But there's more to come this month. Oh, gosh. I'm not going to spoil it now because I'll talk about it probably toward the end. But I have one big event coming up next weekend, actually. I'm going to talk about a little bit, and just more fun things in general. Just a lot going on this month. I got TV shows coming out to watch. The premiere of BattleBots is tonight. Season, I think, 9 overall, I believe, for the show. Second season on the Discovery Science Channel, so definitely look forward to that. Big Brother's coming back this summer. So this is going to be a big month. So this might be the only ATSD you get this month. I'm hoping not, but I will still continue to try and do blind reactions as always, at least up till the hiatus comes around. So still a lot to look forward to. So what's on the agenda? Of course, obviously, I will share my thoughts on episodes 9 and 10 of season 9. That's what we're kicking off with. Saw a movie on that Sunday, though. I did get to see a movie. I saw Detective Pikachu, so I'll share my thoughts on how I felt about that. Sports stuff. We talked a little bit about baseball with the new league for the Kokomo Jackrabbits. Going to share my thoughts on that. NHL and NBA Finals, just thoughts in general. Haven't really been watching them too much, but I have been seeing a little bit of the scores, and so I kind of know a little bit about what's going on there, so I'll share my thoughts on that. A little bit of hockey news as well for the ECHL. And then I'll just end with a couple big Mascot stories as well, including my big event that I'm going to be attending next weekend. And if you follow me on Twitter, some of you know. But I'll just share my thoughts for those that don't, what I'm going to be doing next weekend. But first, let's talk Pony first, because I have to share my thoughts on these last 2 episodes of season 9. Season 9 really has been crushing it. This for the most part this season. Going into these 2 episodes, I had rated 7 of the 8 episodes as elite episodes, like 8 scores out of 8 of 10. Or above, and I really felt like I could keep going on that roll, and just keep continuing to do a really good job. Unfortunately, maybe all like the show, all good things must come to an end, because these last 2 episodes for me were just not at that level. These were very rough, a little bit rougher episodes than the usual that we had seen from this season so far. So these 2 episodes were further down the list. And surprising, though, because episode 9, a dragon episode. Like, and guys, you know me. I've been a fan of dragons for years. Okay, I can list my favorite dragons like on one hand: Spike, Smolder, Ember, Spyro, Cinder. I mean, I've been a huge dragon fan for years, and it's like so thinking dragon episode. How can this go wrong? How can this fail? Apparently it can, because Sweet and Smoky was just a very meh episode for me. I only gave this episode 6.5 out of 10. And I would never have thought that I would have said that about a dragon episode. But, here we are. I never thought I'd see that in 9 seasons of the show. So, yeah, Spolder. Apparently, I'm trying to already ship Spike and Smolder. I wanted them to be related. Like, that was on my wish list for season 9. Spolder. There you go. Live streaming television. Smolder, Spike, Fluttershy, Ember, all in this episode. And I ended up rating it like this. Again, be surprised at your own peril. But yet here we are. I never thought. Flutters, though, I will say, Fluttershy was like the star of the episode. Like her facial expressions, the way she reacted toward the dragon eggs, like you had her like baby dragon hatchlings. Like in that moment, you had Fluttershy. And just the way that she tried to wake them up was just absolutely adorable. Plus the fact that she stood up to Garble, coming back and being that Flutterbold, that was also very, very incredible as well. She wasn't taking anything. Like she was really standing up. So I was impressed with that. So to me, Fluttershy was like the brightest star of the episode. I also we had this was a hilarious moment when Nate and I were watching it back, and it was just again I wish you guys could have seen this reaction on video, but or during this stream, but the moment where Ember sees Fluttershy and she's trying to remember like which pony she is, and in that. Whoa, okay, it froze there for a minute. Sorry, my screen there froze for a minute. Hope that doesn't happen again. But there was a moment, as Ember's trying to guess which one she is, and she goes, "You're the party one," and she goes, "Apple Dash," and we just died, like because that means he's canon. Like it means now he's canon in the show. Like and it's just like wow. Like the look on his face was just priceless, and I will not forget that moment. It was just so great. Oh my gosh, I'm even crying thinking about it now. Like it was just a great moment when that happened. So I'll never forget it. I won't forget that moment. But the moment for me that like just made my mind hurt. So in the description of the episode, like I saw that Smolder's brother had been mentioned, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a great callback to Moltdown, because when Smolder is talking to Spike about the molt and explaining the process and what he'd been through, when she mentions the smell, and she has that brief comment where she says, "Yeah, I love my brother and all, but when that that smell happened, it was all see ya." It just sticks in my mind because I remember the Smolder comments, and it's okay, her brother. So this was it. So where I remember it was mentioned in Moltdown. So I'm like, oh, finally we get to see who her brother is, and and just when I thought I had a reason to be excited, and and she's talking up through all the episodes. Smolder's talking about, oh yeah, he's amazing, he's sensitive, he's just like Spike. I'm thinking, oh yes, perfect. This is gonna be great. And of all the dragons in the Dragonlands it could have been, it had to be Garble. And it's just like that moment in the office. It's like, no, 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 no. Gosh, no. That moment for me was just so like hard to process. Like, really, it was just I didn't get it. Like, it was hard. I will admit this though, like the interaction between the two is pretty funny, like and somewhat adorable. Like Smolder giving him a nickname, calling him Gargar. Like that was actually pretty funny. Like I have to admit that I did get a chuckle out of that. But Garble was making Smolder look so bad. Like I felt more bad for Smolder than I did for Garble. Like, right in front of her, he's just going to be this jerk to Spike. Like, and she mentions, oh, he's so sensitive. He got a sensitive side. He's a big marshmallow. Like, really? Are we talking about the same dragon? Like, I was just totally stunned. And it's all the more confusing later in the episode when Fluttershy confronts Garble and Garble even, says that, that was picking on, that Fluttershy was like, is that why you were picking on Spike? And Smolder didn't realize that. She's like, wait, you're the one that was picking on Spike? Like, you were there the whole time! Like, Smolder, I adore you, but, like, are you that blind? Are you that oblivious in the moment? Like, I didn't comprehend that at all. Like, that was just so... I didn't get it. Like, I didn't get it. That was just like one of those really moments. Like, really? Another thing with this episode, I kind of had a feeling that scene where Garble's fellow dragons / bullies, where they were draining the lava to put more in the pool, like something told me that wasn't random. Like I thought, wait a minute, that has to be the reason. Like, and I made a prediction. Like something tells me that's not random. Like, that's got to be the reason why the eggs are shaking. It's not because they're scared. It's because they're cold. Like, it's because they have no lava. That's in that moment. That's what I thought was happening. So there's just so many things that are hard to process. Ember, I will say though, talking about Ember was second best in the episode. Like, it's, and it's nice to see that, like, she has definitely asserted herself. She's taken the advice to heart in a way from, I guess from her action with Thorax and Triple Threat. Like, she's definitely asserted herself since she became Dragon Lord. And you can definitely tell that she is Torch's daughter because, like, we even saw a few of her inner Torch coming out, like in those moments, when she told the bullies to put the lava back. And at the end, when she then told the dragons, oh yeah, because Garble's a hero for getting the eggs to hatch with that fire in that moment. Like, so clearly, she's always been endearing to me. She's always been an awesome character, and it's just always great to see her in an episode. So she was also really good in this. But there were just so many things in this episode that were just so hard for me to process, like to wrap my mind around. Like, and Garble's whole thing about being a bully to Spike just being an act, like, so the other dragons wouldn't pick on him for being sensitive himself. That just feels really hard to wrap my head around. And I forget who mentioned it. Is one of the fellow reviewers that mentioned it, but I forget, it was either Voice, Reason, or Thespia, or one of the other reviewers that I watched. Said, like, it just felt like that it was like forced in there just because. Like, it didn't feel real. Like, it didn't feel like, because there was no other mention of it, there was no other, connotation or connection to it. It just felt like it was just in there because, and really there's no way for us to develop, a continuity or connection to it if it's just placed in there for no reason. Like, so that, to me, it just seemed off. It really seemed off and off-putting to me because I couldn't like rationalize it. Like this doesn't make any sense. So it was just odd. this episode, it tried way too hard to make me feel sorry for Garble. Like, really, like, okay, so he's got a sensitive side himself. So he's a poet. He's apparently a beat poet, and does all this and whatnot, and he doesn't want to show that. And it's like, are you trying to to make me feel sorry for him because you're really failing? Even after that ending, like the ending. It felt rushed. It felt rushed. It felt forced. It felt like it wasn't like, and it didn't feel like. And I know Thespio mentioned this. It didn't feel like a full redemption. Like it didn't have a closure moment for Garble. And if that's the way it ends, it doesn't feel, again, it doesn't feel fully redeemed. Like, and a lot of people have said that on Twitter, oh great, Garble's on our side now, let's see him redeemed. I don't know. Like, I'm on the fence about that. I'm with Thespio there. I don't think that he is, to that point. It's nice to see him, I guess, show this side of him for once, and have the courage to do it, kind of like Smolder overcoming her fear of liking cute stuff. But by the same token, I don't think we got full on closure. So that to me is just a bit concerning. So Smolder for me in this episode was third best, and don't get me wrong, I'm not changing my thoughts on her. She's still best dragon. But the fact that just, it was so out of character for her to be so oblivious or blind to Garble's behavior. That was just really off-putting for me. Considering she seems like she's got a pretty good mind on her shoulders. She was really quick to pick up, that, especially with interaction with Spike in Molt Down with the molting, and Father Knows Beast with Sludge. She's quick to pick up on a lot of things. So it just seems so out of character for her to not be able to pick up on the fact that Garble was being a jerk to Spike right in front of her like that. It just seems so out of character. And and Garble may be able to hide it, but not that well. To me, it would just be stunning me he was to be able to hide it that well from Smolder. Now, I will admit, Smolder is trying to be, the sister role here. She's trying to do what any sister would do and look out for him, and that's totally understandable. But she has to play the second role as well, which she is trying to balance. I can understand that, getting her, the lessons from the friendship school and kind of putting them into practice in the Dragonlands. That certainly comes with risk. But she has to play the second role and be a friend to Spike and Fluttershy at the same time. So clearly, this had to be a major test for Smolder. But as she mentioned at the end, she had, and I love this, she has learned a lot at the school, including the line where she said, at first I thought it was okay to, pick on, dragons and other creatures because of their differences. But now through the school, what I've learned to embrace them, that it's okay. And that's awesome. That's an awesome moral. I will give the episode that there was a great moral at the end. But so that's nice. But again, the resolution in that was just too rushed and too forced for me. So again, this episode does not make me think of Smolder any less. Far from it. It just made me wonder about her in spots. And she did have the best line in the episode. I'll give her that. When Fluttershy was going off on Garble, and she said, "For a pony without a horn, she's got a point." that was just a sick burn. That was like a claw hoof moment. That was awesome. So yeah, surprisingly, this episode is my second worst of the season. And again, a dragon episode, I never would have imagined that. I never, honestly, it's granted it's better than part one of the premiere, but I never thought that it would be in this category. But so it's not bad, but there's just too many variables to process at once, and the ending and the moral all just seem very rushed and very forced. It's not the moral's not good. It just came so fast, and if you're an episode, if your goal is to make me feel sorry for Garble, you failed. I mean, you failed miserably. So this is meh in every sense of the word. Now, episode 10 with Going to Seed, it's still meh, but it's not as meh as Sweet and Smoky. It's a little bit better than that. It's borderline elite, but not quite. This I gave 7.5 out of 10, which is just barely on the meh line for me. Like it's close, but just it's almost on the same line with Common Ground. But I changed Common Ground's score from a 7.5 up to an 8 because of this episode, because I didn't quite see it on the same level as Common Ground. I connected more with Common Ground. I was more engaged in Common Ground than I was in this episode. And really with this episode, this is for me, the reason I have it in meh is because this idea for this episode, to me, I saw it as we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas. And I understand that it's the last season, and I get that. But you're really kind of pushing the limit a bit of ideas with this concept. And I kind of got into agree to disagree with Do the Daring Do about this, and he, and we agree to disagree, and and he found the concept endearing and the comparison. I never got into it. I saw it as a major stretch. So with this episode, Big Mac is the one. If we feel sorry for any pony in this episode, it's Big Mac, because Big Mac looking terrible at the start of the episode is just a precursor and foreshadowing of what was to come. That was really, if you had already seen the episode and then you just we rewatch it again and see him in that first scene, it's like, oh wow, okay, that's a sign of what's to come. But the Great Seedling. Wow, Hasbro. That was my thought, when I saw that. And I had to laugh, because we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for episode ideas. I got the reference right away. The clear reference to The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I got that reference right away. And so this is an old legend that, may or may not be true. It's hard to tell. And we still don't know by the end of the episode, honestly. Even though Goldie Delicious insists that it's real, through the experiences, it might not be real. We still really don't know by the end of the episode. But now Daring Bloom, as I called her throughout the episode, because she had the camo look, reminded me of Daring Do. She wants to go and catch it to help out with the confluence harvest, which is basically just a fancy word for one big time of year where all the apples get ripe at the same time. Because you have to use fancy words on this show, right? So look out now. We got a old-fashioned hunt going on here. And something just felt off from the start for me. Like something just seemed not right away. And I was with Applejack at first. She clearly had a reason to think that it was all horse apples, legitimately. That, the looks she gave in this episode were straight up priceless. And I got to give kudos, the animators, and again, I think Voice of Despio mentioned this in their review. The animators this season are really going all out with the facial expressions, because they are taking it to a whole nother level with some of the characters and their faces. And Apple Blooms were awesome in this episode, and AJ's were just priceless. That look, the look she gave Goldie Delicious was you're in on this, aren't you? She legit thought at first that this was a prank, that Goldie and Granny had teamed up, and we're planning all this to make her believe in the Great Seedling. So I was on that train at first too. I'm this is too well planned to be like not a prank. Like this, either it truly is the Great Seedling, or someone is really taking great lengths to try and prank Apple Bloom. Like this is really, really intense. Apple Bloom was the star of the episode, by the way. Like she was the star. Like she, best faces, best reactions. Like she, I was like okay, I got to give her the episode props for like her, because she was like the star of the episode. So then I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching this, like, okay, so if Goldie and Granny are denying it and they're not in on it, if they're not doing it, then either they're really good liars, which I can't see for the Apple family because it's the honest family, for the most part, although we've seen times where they've lied in the past. Or someone or something else is doing this. Like it just, I really had a hard time again wrapping my head around, because it's like this is really hard to believe, like, that this thing actually exists. Like it just doesn't seem like it does. Which then leads to bickering on top of more bickering and the hoof pointing, and it's like, yeah, this is not going to end well, is it? Like everyone is just blaming the other, and about whether it exists or not, and of course it's the fact that it's getting in the way of their work, and and that kind of thing. So yeah, this was not going to end very well. I will say this: the best moment of the episode was the flashback. Because I honestly, after A Perfect Pair, I did not know if we were going to see Bright Mac and Pear Butter again, even in a flashback. I didn't care, because again, the callbacks this season have been awesome in general, but the fact that we got to see them again at least one more time was just awesome. And it's nice to know also that, like, AJ, she was in the same position that Apple Bloom was. Like, she was going after it herself. She was once as gung-ho for the Great Seedling as Apple Bloom. So she was doing the same things that Apple Bloom was doing doing now. But then when she, came to the realization that, that she went through all of it and didn't catch it, she then has the thought of, okay, clearly it doesn't exist. So I learned the hard way, so now I don't believe in it myself. So that's why she thinks it's a bunch of hooey, because she had the experience herself, didn't catch anything, and now here we are. So I guess, so it's kind of like cause and effect. It's if this, then that. If I don't catch the Great Seedling, then clearly the Great Seedling does not exist. So that's kind of then the message she's trying to pass down to Apple Bloom. This is her perspective, of, okay, I didn't catch it, so what makes me think that you're going to do the same thing? Like, again, cause and effect. What makes me think that you're going to, it's hooey. It's a bunch of hooey, and you're doing something now that's taking away from the work that we have to do. So that's why AJ had this thought in her mind. Now, unlike the last episode where the confusion just, was hard to wrap my head around and just threw me for a loop, here I think it makes it work a little bit better because it's more hilarious. It's more on the hilarious side of things. The last episode was a little more serious. This one, is a lot more in the hilarious side of things. So the confusion worked here. After Apple Bloom sets all her traps, and then the next day she sees, okay, all of them were activated somehow. More Apple tracks, more designs, a bigger design. And now, after seeing that, AJ's like, this might not be hooey after all. Like, she's so now that she starts to actually see maybe some proof that the Great Seedling actually potentially could exist, now AJ starts to potentially believe in it. So here's a thought. Maybe then that didn't happen for her. Maybe, hers had no signs of activity at all. So maybe that's why Applejack had that thought, because so because she never actually saw like any potential proof that the great seedling could exist. So now that she's actually seeing the proof right there in front of her, now the wheels start to turn in her mind. She's thinking, okay, maybe there might be something to this after all. So, because Goldie and Granny even said, oh no, we're not doing this. And honestly, I don't mean, yeah, they're wise in their years, but I don't even think they'd be smart enough to pull something like that off. Like, honestly, I don't think they'd be, that witty and creative in their mind. And clearly they would not have been able to set all the traps off, with that kind of, I guess, dexterity. So clearly they were out. So that's why AJ's thinking this. Like, okay, there could be some merit to this after all. Talking about a complete 180, that's kind of the thought. But in the end, and again, I wish you guys would have seen this in the reaction. Now that we see that now Applejack and Apple Bloom are now combining their gung ho-ness together, and they're trying to now go on this big recon to try to catch the seedling and all this. But then we see Big Mac, now having to do all the work and everything, tiring himself out, and then Nate had a comment, he had a thought, and he's like, Big Mac just doesn't look right. Why do I get the feeling that, it's just, him, doing it during the night? And I never would have thought that. And I thought, as I'm watching that, it's like, oh yeah, that's, it'd be crazy, but it certainly would be but you can't rule that out as a possibility. And sure enough, that exactly is what it turns out to be. Granted, there were some intimidating moments there toward the end, but oh, excuse me. But that's why I have caffeine. But yeah, it was a tired, mostly silent, overworked Big Mac all along, sleepworking, and just harvesting in his sleep, just wah wah, like absolutely unbelievable that was the way that it happened. But then. Or is it because the next day there's carrot tracks the morning after? So then it's like, oh, there might be more to this story than meets the eye. So at least they ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. So it keeps our minds thinking. So that's something the last episode didn't do. So this one, makes us kind of start thinking a little bit more. So here the moral was definitely told better than the last episode. You're never too old to be a Philly, or like me, in grown-up terms, you can always be that kid at heart. So, as long as it doesn't get in the way of your work, then, you can, there's time to have fun. So, again, not quite elite, almost there, for at least keeping me guessing and entertained, plus that solid moral, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. So, yeah, it's not... Again, it's not like the 7 elite episodes we've seen so far this season, but it certainly was, very, very close to being there. All right, done with that. Movie, Detective Pikachu. I finally got to see it. I had been waiting a while. The weather here had been really rough. Like for 11 days straight, we had. Well, I'll put it bluntly. We had thunderstorm hell, like literally. Like we had nothing but rain and crappy weather for 11 days straight, and that's why I wasn't doing much videos. Why I wasn't doing much at all. I wanted to see the movie when it came out, but hadn't really had a chance to do that. But finally, after having 3 weeks out in theater and then realizing it would have been out of the theater on the 6th, I figured, okay, Sunday, it's my day off. Why not finally just go see it that night? And so I finally did, and wow, it was worth the wait. Like it was absolutely worth the wait. It was just so good. 5 stars. Like another 5-star movie for me. Like that's one of my favorites. I think I ranked it like 23rd all time on my favorite movie list. But yeah, it was just electrifying till the end. As I said, it was just, I loved the story was great. I mean, the Ryan Reynolds and Justice Smith, by the way, were great in their roles. Like my biggest concern going into it was like I didn't know if I could handle Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. Like I worried about that at first. I wondered if really the movie could make it work, but you know, it took a while a bit to get used to it first. But then as the movie went on, like you believed it. Like it became more believable. This wasn't your ordinary run-of-the-mill Pikachu. This was completely different. So yeah, I started believing it more as the movie went along. The story was good. The characters were good. The action scenes were incredible. Like there were just I was on edge throughout it. Like when I'm engrossed in a movie, like I'll go to a movie, I'll get concessions, like and like I'll try to like eat my popcorn like before the movie because I don't want to be eating it during the movie. Like I don't want to be snacking like during the movie because if I'm really engrossed, like you can tell with me how engrossed I am in a movie. Like if I'm snacking during the movie, that means I think the movie's crap because like I'm not as engrossed in it. If I'm not even touching my popcorn, candy, or my drink during the movie, I'm focused on the movie. Like I'm in the movie. Like I am engrossed in the movie. And this one was no exception. Like I wasn't snacking as much during this movie because I was engrossed in it. Like I wanted to know what happened next. And oh my gosh, like this movie like kept me guessing and twisting things upside down. Like I had to pick my jaw like up off the floor like a million times, especially the ending. Like the final 10 minutes of the movie, it's like jaw, floor, here. It's just me at the screen going like literally. Like I'm just like I don't know how to comprehend this. Like it was just like, oh my gosh, like unbelievable. So like everything, it is so good. It is well worth the wait. It is worth the view. If it's still in your theater by chance, if you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. It is an amazing. If you're a Pokemon fan in general, if you are a Ryan Reynolds fan in general, if you're just someone who maybe for a while like me who does not watch I don't watch the series anymore. Growing up, when I was younger, I watched the series all the time from the first season, to Orange League, Johto League Champions, Advanced Battle. Like I watched all those seasons up until Black and White, and then I stopped watching it Black and White because at that point I just got really turned off because I didn't like the way they were like either like changing Ash's character or or his partners or the people he's working with or the Pokemon. Some of them are just getting like lazy, like they're running out of ideas. Like I completely fell out of favor with it. And then the movies, like I stopped. Like I watched from the first one up until I think like the 12th one, like with Arceus and the Jewel of Life. And then after that, I stopped watching because until I watched the Power of Us earlier this year because. Again, I was just so turned off. Like I couldn't gravitate toward the characters and the story as much. I've always been more a fan of the classics than I am of the current. Granted, I still kind of keep up with it. Like I still, I'll still read Pokemon news and whatnot. I'm just not as engrossed in it as I was growing up. But it's like when I see a movie like this, it's like. It was like, oh, you see all the familiar Pokemon that you knew growing up, and you're again kind of like when I watch Ratchet and Clank. You're reminded of why you're a fan. Like you're reminded of or the MLP movie or what have you. You're reminded of why you're a fan of that series or of the show. When I watch the movie, it's like I get it. I know why I'm a Pokemon fan now. It's because of movies like this that keep you engrossed in it for the majority of the film. So now the movie, I will say this, it starts off slow because you have to figure out why with Justice Smith's character to figure out why he is the way he is. But then it comes full circle so fast, and you got to be able to process everything as it happens, because it will come at you fast. Like something will happen, you'll blink and you miss it, and you won't know why that happened, like or why it took that turn. So you got to be aware, but it had me engrossed for the length of the movie. So yeah, I I definitely love this movie. It was just so good. It was worth the wait. Very, very soon, I'm hoping this month sometime to see 3 movies. I want to see the new Godzilla movie, which I've seen mixed things on. Like a lot of from what I've seen, one of 2 opinions. Either you really, really like the movie, or you really, really hate it because it's boring. So again, I really, with that, I don't have much to go to. Okay, so I got to figure out. Okay, well, people also said that the Emoji Movie was boring and they hated it, and I personally loved it because I could relate to it. So because I wanted to see, well, how bad can it be? And then I watch it and I go, it's not that bad. So so with me, it's like I don't really want to buy too much into the people's opinion as much as maybe, or I want to read the critics' opinions with like a grain of salt. I want to experience it for myself to see what I think of it. And Godzilla 2 did really well. They were number 1 in the box office this past weekend. So clearly it's doing something right. I want to see that one. I want to see Rocket Man, of course, the Elton John biopic. I haven't really heard much on that. It was 3rd at the box office, I think. But it did make more money than they thought it would, which is good. And, of course, it came out today. I want to see Secret Life of Pets 2. I loved the first one. I have, of course, Illumination, I'm a huge fan of. I've liked a lot of their movies, from the Despicable Me series to Sing, to Secret Life of Pets. They have done an outstanding job with their movies, and I think the sequel is going to be no exception. So I'm also looking forward to seeing that one as well. So yeah, but Detective Pikachu, guys, go see it if you haven't already. It is truly, truly amazing. Let's talk some sports stuff. Baseball. It is, of course, baseball time. Baseball well underway, and for the Kokomo Jackrabbits, the local team here that is close to me that I support, new league this year. They moved from the Prospect League up to the Northwoods League. So more competition, more teams in this league to compete against. So obviously a big jump for them there. New look, co-signed with their 5th season of existence. Good on them for that. Now I've read some things that their breakup from the Prospect League was a little bit messy. There's some tensions between the two. I don't know if that's true. But hey, if sometimes you need bigger competition, more competition, and if they wanted to do that, hey, more power to them. So, and actually right now they're not doing too bad for themselves. They did get off to a bit of a slow start. I think they lost their first 3 or 4 games of the season. And then they started to bounce back, and they started to win some now, and they're 5-5. They're second place in their division, only a game behind Kalamazoo. So really good there. I will say this though, just a couple minor nitpicks, I guess. One, the fact that I guess it was a nice gesture because KMS is a nice facility. Kokomo Municipal Stadium, if you haven't been there, it's one of the nicest minor league / college ballparks in the country, I think. But they're having a team from Milwaukee in the American Association, the Milkmen, play there until June 24th. So it makes me wonder what the Rabbits are doing in the meantime to accommodate for that, or where they're playing in the meantime. So there's that. So that, I don't know if that's going to take away from the attendance or the experience or what have you for the team. But also, I'm starting to I understand you want to rebrand. I understand you want to be better at certain things, but you also you don't want to fix what isn't broken. And they've done a couple things that, I feel like they're starting to I was worried of this, even last season. I warned them of this, to not try to be so hard, to try to be more professional. Like they're starting to do some things that that more like the major league teams would do, and I think they're really starting to lean that way. For one, like they jacked up ticket prices a little bit, and again, maybe that's, I don't know if that's relative of the new league or just because they're gaining in popularity in Kokomo or what have you, but they did raise them up a little bit. So it makes it harder for those of us who can't afford the ticket packages or season tickets or what have you, to try and get to games. But the other little subtle things that they've changed. They changed the mascot a little bit, which I as a Mascot fan and member of the inaugural member of the Mascot Hall of Fame, if you're gonna change it, like, make sure it works. Like, again, don't fix what isn't broken. Like, there's some change that works and there's change that doesn't work. And I like with the mascot for the Jackrabbits, like, I don't know. I'm really, really torn on this one. Like, because let me see if I can find. Okay, let me see if I can find like one of the older version, and then I'll show you one. Okay, so if I can show you guys this. So, all right, so this is Jack's, the older version of Jack's, and that's me, of course. So that's the original version. Now, let me show you what the team is trotting out this season. And in my honest opinion, like, I hope there's a picture like on their official Twitter account. You gotta find it. There we go. I hope I can find a picture. What the team is trotting out this year. Okay, you really can't. Oh, there we go. So this is the new Jacks, and I don't know. To me, it looks. He's not, okay. One, he's not as muscular as he used to be, so they've gotten rid of that aspect, which I thought made him look more, intimidating. But number two, like my first thought of was, that's Inflate-A-Bunny. like it just looks like, he looks like more poofy than usual. So yeah, if I go to the ballpark this year, it might take a bit for me to get warmed up to that. The other thing, though, and this has always been a problem since they first started, they'll have auctions for the special jerseys, but the team itself still refuses to sell team jerseys in their store. You know why? Because they only give them to season ticket holders. Now understand where I'm coming from here. Understand that I get it. If you can afford that, if you can do that, more power to you. But that's kind of a professional dick move. That's kind of a professional team dick move, because you're giving yes, I understand season ticket holders can have their perks, but that is kind of going on like, that's kind of like shoving it in the face of those of us who can't afford to go to all the home games, who can't set aside the time to go to all the home games. Like that's kind of like, that's, it's kind of being a dick, it really is. And, so, the fact that you won't give, your other fans, again, the fans that got you to this point, the fans that enabled you to build a nice stadium, the fans that, will support the team but won't be able to be there as much. You're kind of just saying to them with that move, okay, you're still a part of us, okay, here's the fan base. Okay, here's the fan base of the team, but up here, way up here, here's the people that really mean the most to us. That they're well far and above. Like, you don't, like, you're not seeing your fan base as this family. You're seeing as no, we'll give these people a lot more perks that we won't even bother giving to these people. We're not even going to let them have that opportunity because we see you as a lot more valued than these. That's a great look. That's really a great look for you trying to make an impression in a new league, with a new look, with ways to rebrand. That's a great look, Jackrabbits. That's a really great look. For the fact that you're giving, you can, season ticket holders, you can have your perks, and that's fine. I'm not saying that season ticket holder perks are bad. What I'm saying is the fact that you're not giving, you're not, for merchandise, even the fact that you're not even giving the other fans that opportunity, dare I say it's like, in a way, it's like, what? Oh, nothing. Dare I say it's almost like, I don't want to use this word, but it's like merchandise, like you're not giving somebody, it's not equal. Like you're not, it's like merchandise inequality. Like you're not, I didn't want to say discrimination because I don't think that's what this is. Like, you're not giving the fans that, that only can come out on certain occasions or certain dates or, what have you. You're not giving them the same opportunity that, as there are some perks that season ticket holders have that, should only be reserved for season ticket holders. Like, for example, like priority seating. That's totally understandable. Like the fact that they're able to come to all the games, they should have their own seat. They should have their spot where they want to sit. Yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Priority concessions. Again, I'm totally cool with that. They can have, everyone else, because everyone else, the general fans get concessions too. So, hey, that's totally fine. They can have their own concessions. They can have the priority seating. That's awesome. Or special events. Totally fine with that. Like, that's totally cool. But make sure, again, with that, though, you're also giving your other fans a chance to attend events as well. Don't shut the door on them. Yes, the season ticket holders, they can have their events. But make sure you also open to the public some other events as well to correspond for that. There has to be a balance. There has to be a balance between your season ticket holders and your general fans. There has to be some sort of balance. You can't put the season ticket holders on a professional pedestal when you're a collegiate summer league team. You can't do that. You can't do that and be successful. It doesn't work that way. Dare I jump into the trope where I say this, but for gosh sakes, I'm going to do it for the Jackrabbits. College baseball doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It doesn't work like that. You cannot be restrictive to your general fans and in that regard and give season ticket holders something that you just completely shut out the other fans. You can't do that. That's called being restrictive. You're shutting them out. There has to be a balance. What does that say about you as a franchise, as an organization? What does that say about you? Well, it says that, well, we really think highly of those that can attend every home game and that can be here all the time, and with their pom-poms and rah-rah, sis, boom, bah, and be the spokespeople for the team. But we think really a bit less of those that can't do that. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying by doing this. You can't just offer your general fans the general stuff. No, there has to be a balance. It has to be, because then you're literally shutting them out. Like you're literally, the general fans go, oh, they get the nice jersey, and what do I get? What do you have to offer me? Well, we got the general T-shirts and the general hat and the general this because you're general. That's what you're saying. You can't generalize the general fans. You can't put them in a box. But that's what you're trying to do by doing this. And it's wrong. So again, I'm going to tell the Jackrabbits, I warn you, be careful of how you're promoting yourselves, because this doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you are singling out the fans of your team that can't be there all the time. They just can't. Whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's resources, what have you, whatever the reason may be, you can't put the people that can be there on a pedestal and say they're greater than you. That's what you're doing by doing this. You can't view them in that light. You can't do that. It just does not make you look good. Plain and simple. You have to give everybody maybe not equal opportunities, but at least similar opportunities. You have to give the general something. You have to give the fans that can't be season ticket holders something. Something that at least you have to give them, you have to at least present them the opportunity. The opportunity has to be there. The opportunity itself has to be there. Yes, perks are nice. Perks are okay to have. Perks are great to have if you can afford it, if you can dedicate the time and the money and the resources. Yes, nothing wrong with that at all. But you've got to at least give the general fans something, the opportunity. You can't shut them out from it entirely. It still has to be there in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, you're saying that you value them a lot more than everyone else. And again, that doesn't make you look good. So just be careful. Just be careful. That's all I say. Just be careful. You're doing a lot of the right things. You're doing a lot of the right things by, being in this new league, doing the new look, what have you. But some of the things, a lot of red flags. So I just say be careful. All right. Enough baseball. Enough ranting on that. I didn't think I'd get into a full-on rant on that, but whoo boy. Sometimes that just happens where something I'm just so passionate about and I go into a full-on rant. Well, there you go. Other sports news. NHL, NBA Finals going on right now. Stanley Cup Final. I tweeted this. I don't really have a dog in the fight this year. I don't. My teams are all out. When the Blues Took out the Sharks. That was my last hope. So yeah, the Sharks fall short again. What else is new? So the final now, though, is tied 2 games apiece. I was definitely not the Blues actually they won Game 5 yesterday, didn't they? Yes, they did. They won 2-1. So the Blues actually are one away. I would not have expected that in a million years. Like, honestly, I would not have thought that at all. I thought if Boston kept playing well, if Tuukka Rask kept playing amazing in net, then Boston would easily take this series. But St. Louis has been very impressive. Binnington in net has been really, really good, especially after a loss. Like after Game 3, like when Boston blew the doors off of them like 7-2, like I thought, okay, this series, it's over. Like Boston is going to now, they've ratcheted up in a whole nother gear. They're going to turn on now and dominate. And then St. Louis wins Game 4, and then somehow they win in Boston in Game 5. So I'm just stunned by what the Blues have done. You know, you realize if they win the Cup, it's their first title ever. Like the Blues are one of the few teams left in the NHL that have never won a Stanley Cup, period. So it is. In fact, I'm gonna try to guess something. Like I'm gonna try like. I'm gonna like this is like my Wikipedia challenge. Like I'm gonna try to guess the teams in the NHL that have not won a Stanley Cup, and then I'm gonna look it up and see if I'm right. Okay, I know St. Louis. I know the Sharks have never won one. Minnesota, Columbus, Winnipeg/Atlanta. I'm pretty sure those 5 are right. Because let's eliminate the teams that have. Because Pittsburgh has, Washington has, Islanders have, Rangers have, Colorado has, Carolina. No, Carolina hasn't. Okay, Carolina has. Scratch that. No, it's not Carolina. Okay. Florida hasn't. That's 6. Detroit has I'm pretty sure Buffalo has, haven't they? I'm pretty sure Buffalo has. Of course, we know Montreal has. They have the most. Ottawa, I think, has. Philly has. New Jersey has. Chicago, of course, has. Coyotes? No, Arizona has not. Okay, so that's 7. Vancouver, I'm pretty sure, has. Edmonton, of course, has. Anaheim has. LA has. And then the teams that were in Tampa Bay has Toronto. Toronto won many in the 70s. Washington has. Pittsburgh has. Islanders have. Carolina has. I mentioned Columbus. Calgary? No, Calgary has. Colorado has. Oh, Vegas, of course. Nashville hasn't, so that's 9. All right, because I'm going to forget if I don't write these down. All right, so here's the ones that I know: St. Louis, San Jose, Columbus, Minnesota, Vegas, Nashville, Winnipeg/Atlanta. That's 7. Dallas? No, Dallas is 1-1. Florida, that's 8. I had a 9th. Buffalo? No. But I'm pretty sure Ottawa won 1, at least. Philly has, Rangers have, New Jersey has, Minnesota. I said Minnesota. Arizona. Yeah, Arizona I know hasn't. Vancouver has, Edmonton has, Ducks have, LA has. I think that's all of them. Yeah, so Dallas has. Okay, so I think that's all 9. Okay, so I'm gonna check myself now. I'm pretty sure that's okay. All right, so list of teams to not win Stanley Cup. No, okay, I'm pretty sure it's these 9. Oh, there's 12. There's 12. Okay. So Arizona, ding, ding, ding. I got that right. Oh, Buffalo's never won. I thought for sure that Buffalo had won one. Okay, so wow. So Buffalo has not won one. Okay. Because they lost to Dallas. That's right. Okay, Columbus, ding, ding, ding. Florida, ding, ding, ding. Okay, Ottawa has not won one. Again, I thought that Ottawa had honestly won one. I know Ottawa's made a Stanley Cup final, but then they lost to Pittsburgh. That's right. That's right. Yep. Or no, they lost. Or no, I'm sorry, not Pittsburgh. Anaheim. They lost to Anaheim in 2007. That's right. Minnesota, ding, ding, ding. Nashville, ding, ding, ding. San Jose, ding, ding, ding. I know that, being a fan. St. Louis, ding, 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 but that might be broken this year. Oh, Vancouver. Okay, so Vancouver. Vancouver's one I was waffling on too. So Vancouver, but they also made the final before. So Vancouver is not either. Okay. And of course, Vegas, ding, ding, ding. And Winnipeg/Atlanta, ding, ding, ding. All right, so I got 9 out of the 12. So, hey, I was a little weary on Buffalo, Ottawa, and Vancouver. I thought that they had won one. So you can't fault me too much for trying there, but I did get 9 out of the 12. So but St. Louis, they might finally get off the schneid. They might finally get it done in Game 6. The Cup will be in the building. It'll be in the Enterprise Center for Game 6. Speaking of the Enterprise Center, I don't know if you guys saw this story, and this made me, I shouldn't say chuckle, but it made me just make you go. The whole fiasco with the color guard and the Enterprise flag. Did you guys see this? Like, I get it. Like, why have your corporate flag? I understand it's in the name of the building, but like, why have it as part of that in Game 3? That was like, really? You're doing this? Well, sure enough, after the uproar that followed the next game, it was nowhere to be seen. So that was just like, really, I found that very interesting. But yeah, the Blues might get it done, and I never would have thought. And again, I always come back to this. I did say in my All-Star weekend and All-Star game streams, I did say I pegged the Blues as a team that could catch fire in the Central and make a run, and here they are. I'm just saying. And I also said Carolina, and Carolina made the Eastern Conference Finals. So I got 2 out of the 4 right. So hey, you can't fault me for that. So it's just been so incredible to the turnaround that the Blues have made after firing Craig Berube, Mike Yao, then going to Craig Berube, and now what he has done with this team has been nothing short of phenomenal. Binnington playing out of his mind. The way they've been able to recover after the loss, the way they've played on the road has also been very impressive. So I credit the Blues for that. And the fact that they're winning games, they're not really doing it by solving Tuukka Rask, which I thought would be the key to the series. Like, they're doing it just by being physical, by scoring the goals they can score. Now, granted, last night there was a bit of an asterisk. I will say that there was the non-tripping call on Tyler Bozak that I thought should have been called because Bozak is even looking right at the official like, oh, are you going to call it? And then they realized that he wasn't going to call it. He kept on going, and the Blues scored the eventual game-winning goal. So that certainly was a big question mark, especially with the fact there have been a lot of questionable calls in these playoffs that are people now calling for video review or official review and more video review. But at the end of the day, people are going to pinpoint and say that's not the real reason why the Bruins lost or the Blues won, and they're right. That's not that you can't pinpoint it on that alone. For the same reason, you can't pinpoint on the missed pass interference call that cost the Saints to that the Saints claim was the reason they lost to the Rams. No, that's not the only reason. So it's a series of things. So I applaud the Blues for how well they've played. I applaud them for not getting down on themselves after being down after a horrible Game 3. This Blues team, if they pull this off, they're the big word I'm going to come to mind to do it is perseverance. Like, this team, like, they play like with like an attitude of, okay, you beat us this way in this game in such and such a game. Well, now we're going to play PO'd and we're going to take it to you the next game. And that's exactly what they do. And then they keep coming at you, and they've done that all playoffs long. They will have earned this title if they pull this off. And kind of the reverse for Boston, though, if Boston can find a way to get the gears back and turn things around and win the next 2 games and still win the cup, Boston will have earned it, because Boston has been in some really tough series. Remember, it took 7 games for them to get past Toronto, and then for them to get past a Columbus team was coming off the biggest upset of the playoffs, sweeping Tampa Bay. Still hurts, by the way. And then to get past a gritty Columbus team in 6 games, and then just to sweep a Carolina team and playing with so much momentum. It was coming off a sweep of their own against the Islanders. This team has been through so much as well, and been playing solid overall. And I got to give props to Zdeno Chara. I mean, oh my gosh, like when he took that puck to the jaw and broke it, like I thought he would not play in Game 5 at all. But then they announced, no, he's playing Game 5. That's a hockey player. Like, you take a puck to the face, your jaw's broken, and yet you still play through that. Major props to Zdeno Chara. I got to applaud him for that. That's Boston. These are 2 teams that are pretty much almost like mirror images of each other when it comes to perseverance, when it comes to grittiness, when it comes to just intensity. These 2 teams are very, very similar to each other, which is why I think we're getting such a really good series between these 2. So I got to applaud them for that. Whoever wins this cup this year is going to earn it for sure. But if it's the St. Louis Blues, I will applaud them for finally getting the monkey off their back for all the years that they've been through. It'll be like me the day, hopefully, that I get to see the San Jose Sharks win a title. It will be one of the most rewarding moments, one of the most rewarding titles I've experienced. I've experienced a lot of championships, but I've also been through a lot of heartbreak. North Carolina basketball a couple years ago when he won with the stupid shot by Villanova, but then redemption the year after. I've been through the ringer when it comes to stuff like that. I've experienced back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Penguins, but then for final teams to lose in the finals, with the Sharks even losing to the Penguins that year in the final. It hurt just as much with my heart being divided. So, I will be happy for the city of St. Louis. Just also happy for the city of Newfoundland and Canada with, kind of transitioning now to the ECHL. But I'll talk about that when I talk about it. I also want to talk about the NBA as well. But I will be happy. I'll be happy to see the St. Louis if they do win Game 6 or Game 7 and win the title. I'll be genuinely happy for them. NBA final though, with Golden State, when Golden State's in the final, usually you think they're going to win it all. They're going to win the title. They're going to be the champs. But if they're injured and their big players are missing time, then their opponents can take advantage. And that is what the Toronto Raptors have done in the NBA Finals. And they won Game 3 in such dominant fashion. But now it's looking more and more like the Warriors are going to start getting healthy again, because Klay might be coming back. Durant might be coming back very soon. So if the Warriors get back to full strength, I say to Toronto, look out. And honestly, I didn't think Toronto would come out of the East. I thought it was going to be Milwaukee for sure. Because the Bucks had been so solid all year, and they had been so good. I honestly thought that if anyone would take on Golden State in the final, it would be them. But Toronto has played really, really well. Lowry is trying his hardest to carry the team on his shoulders, along with Kawhi, of course. Their 1-2 punch. They are just playing really, really well. And Danny Green went off also in Game 3 with his 3-pointers. I think he was 6 for 6. He was just jacking them up like nothing. I remember when he did that in North Carolina, and he would do that all the time, and I would love every minute of it. Well, it showed in Game 3. And so I wouldn't say by any stretch that the series is over, because if Golden State does get healthy, then Toronto needs to really step their game up and equal that intensity that Golden State's going to bring. But I'd love to see, again, I want to see parity. Like, I'm sick and tired of seeing the same teams win titles every year. Like when Cleveland was winning or LeBron's winning Miami, I'm like, no, time for someone else. Or now Golden State with their dynasty, no, change the channel. I want someone else. I want someone else to win a title for once. I want some parity. Or the Patriots. The NFL has no parity right now because the Patriots win every year. Like, I want someone to me, like, the NHL right now has the most parity because you normally see a different team winning it every year. Or Major League Baseball, like the World Series, you don't really see any dynasties in Major League Baseball. I think those two have the most parity. The NBA has almost no parity because it's either LeBron or Golden State winning every year. In football, NFL right now has almost no parity because usually the Patriots winning every gosh darn year. So it's like, have someone else win for a change. So I would love to see the Blues win in the NHL. I'd love to see Toronto win in the NBA and give that city a title because Canada, Toronto, the Maple Leafs, have been struggling for years as well. Even though they've won a Stanley Cup before, that was way back when. They haven't won in the more modern era. So they're overdue for a championship. But Canada did get a championship. Now transitioning to the ECHL with the Newfoundland Growlers. Their first year of existence in the ECHL, and what do? They not only do really well in the regular season, but then they run the table in the playoffs. They didn't go 16-0, but they got through Brampton in the first round. They beat a really good Manchester team, and then they beat my Florida Everblades. And when I saw that, I'm thinking, okay, these guys are like legit good. Like I'm starting to believe now that this team can really, compete with the best this league has to offer. But then I remember who they're taking on in the final in the Toledo Walleye. And the Walleye, hey, I don't like at all. I don't like them at all. I always see them as cocky, arrogant, that kind of team. But it's like, oh, wow, these guys are veterans. They've been here before. It's not their first time. I was really worried for Newfoundland at that point. They're going to lose to Toledo in 6 games. But no, Newfoundland flipped that script around, and they beat Toledo in 6 games. And most of their wins actually were pretty convincing. And I'm like, wow, these guys are legit good. So congrats to the Growlers. Congrats to Newfoundland and St. John's, that area. They would have been long waiting for a championship. They deserve it. And Buddy the Puffin, the mascot, actually got to hoist the trophy, which was really cool. Like, if anyone deserved for a mascot to hoist a trophy, which I should see more often, honestly. But if anyone should, it's Buddy, because he's been a staple of the franchise, a staple of the league for so long. If anyone should deserve it, it's him. So good job, Growlers. Good job for Buddy. I think they're having their parade today, so congrats, Growlers. You deserve that. And to beat Toledo, yeah, you may beat Florida, but you beat Toledo, we're even. Good on you. Speaking of the Kelly Cup, though, and the ECHL, this drama with the cup and the new cup that had to be made for the Growlers, you'll notice, I don't know if you compare it to the old one and the new, but at the top of the cup is smaller. That's because they had to make a brand new one. Because the Colorado Eagles still have the old one and apparently are in no interest whatsoever to give it back to the ECHL. Spiky, you want to talk about messy breakups, like the Jackrabbits leaving the Prospect League to go to the Northwoods. Apparently there was a real messy breakup between the Eagles and the ECHL because the Eagles wanted to move up to the AHL, which is, again, totally understandable. Want to go to the bigger, better league to get more NHL players in the door. Hey, more power to them. No problem there. But then the ECHL claims, this is definitely like a he said kind of thing. The league says, okay, well, you're switching leagues, no problem. Of course, pay the transfer fee, of course. But also you want to make sure that you give the Kelly Cup back. We have a plan in place. This is like November 2018. You have a plan in place. Give us the cup back, and we'll go from there. And so so this plan's in place. And apparently the league says, well, the Eagles never honored that plan. But then the Eagles come out with a statement, and it says, oh no, we've tried multiple times to give the cup back. And the ECHL management, they understand the situation with the Kelly Cup. They understand what's going on here because we've tried multiple times to reach out to them to give the cup back, and they've ignored us. Like they've completely ignored the fact that their trophy that they soon have to award to either Newfoundland or Toledo here in a few weeks when this was going on. They completely ignored the fact that that trophy is sitting in Colorado. Yeah, the league really doesn't want it back. Things that makes you go, Like, it makes you wonder, like, is this for real? Like, why would the league not want their own trophy back? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So clearly Colorado didn't want to talk anymore about it. They said, this is the only thing we're going to say on this whole thing. So since we've tried, they're ignoring us. It stays here in Colorado with us. No ifs, ands, buts about it. It is staying here. Here. It is staying here with us. League's like, okay. We've never seen like this before. You're going to be arrogant. You're going to be cocky about it. You're going to say that there was, you've tried and that we're ignoring you. Okay, whatever. Fine. Clearly this is about money. Is this about money? Because clearly I think it is, or our breakup or what have you. Okay, fine. You keep it. But if you ever feel the urge you want to give it back, we're all ears. We're welcome to taking it back at any time. We'll just make a new one since clearly one of our teams this weekend has to have a cup to award. We'll make a new one. Hell, we'll even put Patrick L. Kelly's name on it because that's who it's named after. We'll put his full name on this one to honor him because that's what we do. And stick it to you, Colorado. I found the whole thing funny. Like, I found the whole thing hilarious. I tweeted out to Justin Cohn, the beat writer for the Komets, and I wrote him, I said, am I the only one that finds this, like, ridiculous and hilarious? And he says, no, everyone feels that same way that you do. Like, everyone thinks this is absolutely ludicrous. Like, this is going on. It's not just you. So yeah, this has just been like a complete wow, okay. So clearly they now have the new one. Clearly now that's going to be the one now that gets rotated unless, Colorado finally has the nerve to give the old one back. I don't know if that'll ever happen. I don't think it's going to. Clearly, Colorado, now, full disclosure, I like the Colorado Eagles. I like teams from Colorado ever since the Avalanche. The Avalanche were the first NHL team I ever liked. I like the Rockies. Mainly for the Mascots, of course. But I like the Eagles. I like the way they're run. I see them as a high class organization. I like them. Okay, but I got to be honest here, as I always am. I got to be blunt, brutally honest. Colorado, you're coming off here as very uppity. I mean, you're very like your nose in the air, like, oh, you took our money. We didn't want to pay you the fee. We wanted to switch leagues because we thought we belonged in the AHL. And if you don't like it, okay, we'll take your cup and go home. Am I not wrong? Like, again, that's how you're acting. Like, we're going to keep it because we're mad about money. If everyone in this country did something because they were mad because of money, this country would be like up in arms, like legit though. Like, we're gonna take our cup and go home. We're in the AHL now. You can't do anything about it. There's not a darn thing you can do. And I guess they can't because clearly the ECHL's hands were tied. Clearly they thought, okay, they're not gonna give it back. Got to make a new one. It's a tradition of it, that their other two models are in the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. Like the other one should be in there now that the new one is built. But if Colorado won't give it up, okay. I mean, I don't know what else to say on it. I just find the whole thing silly, ludicrous, and I feel the same way everyone else does apparently. So hey, at least I'm in the same in that regard. So All right. Okay. What else? Speaking of the ECHL, though, the Komets do have a new head coach, so that is really exciting. Gary Graham, though, let go after, I think 5-6 years there with the franchise. Now, granted, he did do a really good job. Like, I will say that. He did do a really good job with the team. He took them to the playoffs every year, and that's all well and good. But Fort Wayne fans, we're kind of used to winning championships. Like, we're kind of used to that next level of success, and he really didn't get the team to that next level. Yes, you can have winning, and that's fine, but you got to get to that next level. You got to win championships, and Fort Wayne was in the kind of same boat every single year. Like, they had the talent, but they couldn't get past Toledo. They couldn't get past Cincinnati. Some years couldn't even get past Kalamazoo. I mean, it was like, you got to get past these teams, and so you got to get to that next level. And Graham just never he couldn't take them there. And honestly, there were even reports among the players that like his demeanor in the locker room, like his demeanor was like clashing with some of the players. So so a change needed to be made. So I really wasn't too surprised that the Komets let him go. But at least they were able to promote from within, and they hired Ben Boudreau, who was the assistant coach, to become the new head coach, which I think is awesome. And the Boudreau name is well known in hockey coaching circles. Bruce, of course, has been around the block multiple times and multiple teams. So it holds some weight. So it's a familiarity. It's a coaching name that's well known. I think there's going to be big things to come for the Komets. Hopefully next season and seasons to come. Obviously, of course, there'll still be some roster turnover. Obviously, there always is but although last year, when they started with the roster turnover, when the first half of the season it was all players that I didn't even know who they were. Like I knew nobody on the Komets roster until like the second half of last year, because they started bringing all the veterans back. Like, okay, come back Mason Baptista, come back Sean Sidlowski, come back Justin Hodgman, come back all these guys, come back Cody Soul, come back all the players that we know to try to make a late season push, and it helped. But clearly they didn't get much out of their affiliation with the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know if that's going to stick or not. We'll see. There's no official announcement yet. But, time will tell. But, we'll see what happens with the roster and the affiliation and what to come. Am I optimistic? Yes, but, I don't want to be like fully in on it until I can actually see them be able to beat these teams in the postseason. So that's when I'm going to have more hopes going forward. But I like the hire. I like the decision. I'm all for that. And just here's hoping that it's the right one in the end. Life things. I finally, speaking of all that rain I mentioned earlier, and I was not able to mow the grass. My tall grass that looked like a poor backyard jungle is no more. I finally got that taken care of. I finally got that, and it's also to the thanks of my mother. God bless her. I mean, I am so thankful to have her helping me out through some of these things. And last week was kind of a stressful week with the weather. The last few weeks with the weather and with other things piling on top of each other, and it was a mess. But my support system, I'm so blessed and thankful to have a great support system. Whether it be from my family, from my friends, from fellow social media friends, my church family, the Brony fandom. I mean, I am so thankful to have such a great support system out there, and it got me through those last couple weeks. And my mom got me a brand new mower. Works great, works amazing. I got it hooked up, got the gas in it, got the oil in it, fired up right away, and got rid of all that nasty tall grass. So it's so nice to look out in the backyard again and see a nice mowed lawn. And to top that off, not only that, I finally got the garage door that had been open for so long that didn't have the lock on. I finally got that fixed as well. So I'm quite proud of myself. Quite proud of myself as a homeowner. I'm quite proud of myself for accomplishing that. It's always nice to have that sense of accomplishment when you get something done. So I was quite happy for that. So yeah, I was happy for that. So Operation Backyard Cleanup, finally a huge success. Now the job after that is just to keep up with it, to keep on it, which I will. And now that I have a working mower, and I'm just so glad that to my support system and everybody, my mom for getting me through that. So yes, thank you. So I was just so thankful for that. Speaking of, before I get the last couple stories, though, speaking of my friends, though, shout out to my friends this weekend. Shout out to Apple Dash. You wonder why he's not here. Him and Sarah aren't even home right now, nor is Matt. They are going to Terre Haute this weekend for Special Olympic Summer Games. It is that time of year again. I'm not going this year. Because I have other events going on, number one, but also I already put in so much, PTO time already to request that I didn't know, for a fact if I would get back-to-back weekends off. I probably wasn't going to be that lucky this year. But I have other things going on later in the year to set aside time for as well, even potentially going to Cider Fest. So I had to make sure that I had enough time accrued to do that. So I'm not going this year. It's unfortunate because I always enjoy going to summer games. Of course, anytime I'm in Terre Haute, it's a blast. But I'm definitely rooting for both Matt and Nate as they compete this weekend. We'll definitely be monitoring their progress, of course, on either be the next stream or the next ATSD. I'll let you guys know how they do in summer games. So good luck to both you guys. I know you're going to crush it in your events. And good luck to everyone competing. It's a fun time. It's a fun event. It's just a fun atmosphere. It's yes, there's a spirit of competition, but at the same token, you're seeing friends. You're enjoying the experience. Being a competitor. It's awesome. So go out there, have a great weekend. Have a fun time, and just enjoy the weekend. Because it's going to be fun. And I know that they're going to do so well, regardless of whether they bring home hardware or not. It'd be nice to have them bring home hardware, but even if they don't, I'll still be proud of what they've accomplished and the job they've done. So go get it, guys. I know you're going to do a great job this weekend. Okay, so finally, Mascot news, Mascot stories. I mentioned the fact that June's going to be a busy month for me, and it is. But yesterday, I got to see a mascot that I have already met before, but I never turned down the opportunity to see when he is in town. And it's so nice to the fact that Logan Sport was able to make this happen yesterday. The Colts mascot Blue was here yesterday at Ed Mason Insurance Group for an hour and a half. And the crowd was great. The weather was awesome. It stayed nice. It was such a good turnout. And I didn't have much time after work to get out there, but I did get out there to see him. And he's just, Blue is just so incredible. It's always nice to see him. Again, I know the guy that portrays him. I met him first in Monticello a couple years ago when they had the Colts in Motion tour there, and he even signed the book. And I'll show you guys the book. I'm sure I've shown you guys this before, but this is the book, Blues Road Trip to Indiana. By Trey Mock, the guy that actually wears the blue, and he signed it for me when I met him in Monticello, and so I've always had a deep appreciation. I want to meet as many mascots as I can, but by the same token, seeing the ones that are close to you and mean a lot to you, and you kind of develop more deeper, I guess, personal connection with, means a lot. I'm sure, and Blue fits that category. Toro from the Texans fits that category. Bliss from the Seahawks fits that category. Boomer fits that category. I mean, there are just a few that I think I've really, as I've seen more throughout the years, and I interact more on social media with them, I kind of develop a more personal connection with. And Blue certainly fits that bill. We even got to do the picture with our jerseys there. He even signed mine, which was awesome. So it was such a cool moment yesterday, and that might be the only time I see him this summer, because I had to find out via Instagram from actually a fellow Mascot fan that responded to that asked Blitz from the Seahawks a question. Said I can't wait. Will there be a Mascot Pee Wee game this year? I'd like to come out and see you. Well, Blitz responded and said, sadly, there won't be one this year. So, and I had such a fun time attending that event the last 2 years. Matt went with me last year, and we had an absolute blast. And so it was shocking to me. Like, it was unfortunate that they were ending it. I even reached out to Blue on Twitter, and when I asked, I said, is there a reason why the game is getting axed? And I said, I was being respectful. I said, if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. I'll totally understand it. I never heard anything back, but so maybe it's a reason that can't be discussed, which again, I totally respect. But it's unfortunate, that event was just so much fun and raised money for charity, and they got to play against the Pee Wee kids, and it was a fun time. It was just the camaraderie in that was really cool. And I know it really didn't draw like huge crowds to Carmel, and that maybe that was the reason why. If I can think of any reason why it got the axe, it might have been like that the crowds weren't very, very big, which I guess is understandable. But it was just a fun experience, seeing a lot of the NFL mascots just in one place. It was so cool. Heck, and that led to me getting a response back from Rory from the Lions, because, he was supposed to be there last year. It didn't work out. I reached out via social media to Rory, and he came through and said, you know what, I'll send you, some autograph cards your way. And that's exactly what happened, and a really nice letter that I still have on the wall. So it's moments like that just stick with me, and which is why I support Mascot so much, which is why I appreciate what they do and their passion and their energy and their commitment to their team, their commitment to the communities, and just all that they do. This is why I have the plan I have for next weekend, because as you guys may well be aware, there's a Mascot Hall of Fame that exists. It was originally online, but now there is an actual physical building. And oh, by the way, it's right in my home state, which I never would have thought would have happened. I thought, the Hall of Fames, they end up in these big cities in LA or Atlanta or New York or Philly or what have you. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that the Mascot Hall of Fame would end up in Whiting, Indiana. But it is. And so I jumped at the chance to go to finally visit it. And so I did. And let me tell you, it is incredible. It's more, the interactive stuff is it's more for the kids, but there's also the stuff for adults too. You're not going to, if you are as passionate a Mascot fan as I am, you're not going to feel lost in there. You're not going to feel bored in there. There's just as much stuff for the adults as there is for the kids. And it's just an amazing place to where, the people that do this for a living, that hone this craft, that do this with so much passion, this is where they get honored. And there's over 20 inductees right now in the hall, and there in the hall, you can be a member. And of course, I took advantage of that for $35 a year. You can be a member of the Mascot Hall, and I'm now one of the inaugural members. And so you get complimentary admission for a year. You get 2 guest passes to use one time, which I used when I took I took Nate and Sarah up there. So you get 10% off any merch, which I've definitely taken advantage of multiple times on my trips there. I brought back a lot of merch from the hall, including the Reggie bobblehead. Reggie, of course, is the official mascot of the Mascot Hall of Fame. So I had to get this and put it with my Sharky bobblehead that I won in the raffle via Twitter. And I've gotten other cool things, I've gotten shirts, I've gotten hats, I've gotten different things from the hall. I think I've even got a sticker from my refrigerator. But long story short, I will be attending the induction ceremony next weekend for the Mascot Hall of Fame. They're having their first induction ceremony now they have a building. They're going to have it there. They have confirmed that 16 attendee or 16 inductees that are in the hall will be there. So that's not all of them, granted, but that's a vast majority of them. They haven't really given like the full official list. Their Instagram is posting like one each day. So they've already confirmed, I think, that the Philly Fanatic's going to be there. Slider from the Indians is going to be there. The Gorilla from the Suns is going to be there. Aubie from Auburn's going to be there. Casey Wolf's going to be there. So they're giving a few each day, which is nice. I'm really hoping, obviously, the three I'm hoping, it's going to be great to meet all of the ones that I haven't met in person. I've already met Casey Wolf before, so that won't be a new one, but the others will. But I'm really looking forward to, hopefully, of course, Slugger from the Royals is going to be there because Slugger is actually one of the newer inductees that got inducted 2 years ago. So he'll be actually going, inducted on the Sunday of that weekend. So that I'm really looking forward to because I've always become a Royals fan. I love Slugger. He briefly followed me back on Twitter. Doesn't anymore, which I understand can happen, but probably because I get bombarded with all of my tweets. But yeah, so he's going to get inducted. I'm really hoping to meet. So I'm looking forward to meeting him. I hope Mr. Met's there. I would love to meet Mr. Met and Udi from Delaware. It's another one of my college favorites. I would love to meet him as well because he's won multiple college titles. So he's been one of my favorites as well. So I'm looking forward to it with eager anticipation as well. I'm just so excited to be a part of that and to be a member of the Hall. Just so great to look forward to. So really looking forward to it. Cannot wait. I will definitely have a full recap from that on a future stream, a future ATSD episode for sure about my weekend in Whiting for the Hall of Fame. I'm sure we'll have a recap of Matt and Nate, Special Olympics as well. More episode blind reactions, more reviews for that to come, and whatever else happens. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Thank you for your views, for all you subscribers. It means so much to me that you enjoy what I do, that you enjoy the content that is on my channel, and keep on tuning in. So thank you. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you liked what you saw, if you like topics of discussion, if you have any thoughts on those. As always, feel free to hit up the comment box below, your thoughts on the episodes, anything else that I talked about as well. Even my mini rant on the Jackrabbits, if you feel against that, hey, more power to you. I'm always good for discussion. So thank you guys so much, as always. God bless. Have an outstanding rest of June. If I don't see you guys again this month for an ATSD with my busy schedule, bear with me on that because I've got plenty of TV shows watching coming up with BattleBots and Big Brother coming up. But I definitely will share more episodes. For more MLP until we get to the hiatus. Don't worry about that. There'll be more blind reactions. There'll be more of that. Don't worry about that. I'll get them up one way or another, whether it's the blind reaction itself or talking about the episode. I will get that up. I promise you. So don't worry about that. But so until the next stream, I will see you guys later. Spiky Dash signing off. Have a great one.